everybody. This is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my podcasts, Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. And welcome back. I hope this finds you having a great holiday season. We're right in the middle of it. Christmas just passed. We got New Year's Eve coming up, and it's going to be a great 2018. I mean, the business community is abuzz. If you're in sales, you couldn't be in a better career. Because I personally believe, because I've seen it happen before, all the signs are there. I think we're getting ready to have a 5 to 10 year run that is going to be unprecedented. If you're in the sales career, you're about to have a big uptick in your career if you're prepared. All right, now, you remember last week we started out with a new message called Exchanging Worry for Success. And I tell you, I must have really struck a note, because I don't think I've done another podcast where I got more response from my audience than I did from that one there. Now, remember I told you that last week it was such a big message, I didn't think I could cram everything into just one 15-minute segment, so I broke it up into two. And last week we started out again with Exchanging Worry for Success. And in talking about it, I explained to you how worrying, gets you nothing, and it actually is the seeds, I believe, to failure, because you worry about things. The more you're worrying, you can't concentrate, you're irritated, you can't talk to people the right way, you can't think straight and all that stuff. So we have to get rid of what may be keeping you from reaching your ultimate success. And in doing that, I told you that I had 5 steps that you could take to eliminate the worry, so you're not wasting your time on that, and replace it with things that are going to help you become more successful. And the 5 tips that I have, I gave you 2 last week, and I told you this week I'm going to give you the other 3, which is I'm going to do. So let's, real quick here, let's talk about and revisit what we talked about last week, the first 2 tips. And this again is how you exchange worry for success. Now remember last week we said number 1 was when you exchange worry time for training time, there is no time to worry. All right, because if you're training and you're working on getting better, then you can't do that and worry at the same time. And I find that when I train, and most other people train, you're so focused on what you're doing and getting better and thinking such positive thoughts that the worry goes away. Number 2, the hurt of losing a sale can start healing when you start training. All right, because I don't know about you, but one of the things that breeds worry is when you go make a presentation and you don't get the sale. You lose the sale, right? And it hurts, because sometimes, like I explained last week, you put sometimes hours and days and weeks and months into making these presentations, and maybe you even think you got it. Maybe even the prospect told you you're the person, only to find out a few hours or a few days later that you didn't get the sale, and it hurts. So how do you get rid of the hurt? Well, you train. Okay, don't succumb to the hurt, because hurt then is going to cause worry. What if I do it again? And then you start that downward spiral. Again, it's another one of the seeds to failure. So instead of that, we're going to replace the hurt with training time. All right, so that's what we talked about last week. Let's get into these other 3 rules. Rule number 3, instead of feeling grief for losing a sale. Now, I said grief, all right? Now, here's why I use the term grief, because with hurt many times, again, I don't want to focus just on losing a sale, but because I know there's people out there that get on these podcasts and they tell you how great they are and how they never miss a sale and how you should never miss a sale and you'll never miss a sale again and blah, 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 blah. And it's quite frankly, it's bullshit. I mean, I'm a master salesperson and I get a great deal of sales, but I miss sales. And anybody that's truthful with you will tell you that from time to time, they miss sales, big sales, important sales, right? And when you do, it hurts. And what comes with hurt is grief. Now, my wife pointed out this to me a few years back, because she would notice there would be days I'd get up to go out of the house and I'd be all excited because I've been practicing, I've been preparing for a series of presentations, or a presentation I was going to make that day. I felt really good about it. There were big sales, there was a lot on the line, and then I'd come home and I would be grieving over it, like it was a lost friend or a death or something like that. And again, it's another one of those seeds to failure. So instead of feeling grief for losing a sale, exchange the grief for reading or writing, which will get you more sales, leading to more joy and happiness. So you can replace the grief with joy and happiness by reading or writing. So what do I mean reading or writing? Well, of course, if you're feeling grief and it's work-related, you could read a great motivation book, a leadership book, a sales training sales technique book, or anything like that, because those are typically very uplifting. They get you focused on success, and they quickly replace that grief and that hurt with seeds to success. So that will help you get over the grief. But at the same time, my wife, she's very intuitive. I love her to death. She's a big part of my success because she's so well at reading me. Sometimes I'll come in And she'll see that I'm grieving, and she'll just give me a magazine, maybe about IndyCar racing, because she knows that that gets me excited and gets me focused. And I can take stories from IndyCar racings and different things I read and turn those into successful things. Other times she'll give me a biography about somebody that's uplifting, or maybe an entertainment book or something like that. But she knows me personally, that if she can get me reading something and get me focused on something other than grieving and the lost cell, it goes away. Also, I've discovered if something happens earlier in the day and I'm not going to be home for several hours, that writing will help. Okay, I will sit down and maybe write out my next presentation I'm going to make to my next prospect, or write out things that I want to improve on, those type of things. So instead of grieving, which loses sales, okay, because it gets you on the downward spiral, replace it with reading or writing. Number 4. The fear of making a presentation, fear of losing the sale causes worry, but can easily be replaced with strength and confidence when you train and, more importantly, prepare yourself. Now, you're looking at somebody or listening to somebody, depending on how you're getting this message, because some of you are listening to it on a podcast in your car, maybe you're exercising or something like that. Some of you are watching it on video, and by the way, if you're watching it on video, you want to hear it on podcast, or you're listening to it on podcast and you want to see a video version of it, you can do either one. Just go to thejeffcowan.com, and we will explain to you how to get both or one or the other, whatever it is you want. But again, you're looking at a person here that used to really sometimes get so uptight of making a presentation, fear of making the presentation because fear of losing it. What if I don't do it right? And these prospects were important. I mean, it was something that was going to be a life-changing event, or it was just a sale that I needed or I put a lot of time into. And so there'd be fear of failure, fear of making the presentation. And what I have found, okay, that replaces that and gives you strength and confidence. Again, here we go, repeating myself, is when you train, because when you're training, you're preparing yourself. I read a great biography one time about Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, right? I mean, everybody knows that, and if you didn't, you now do know that Alexander Graham Bell is the one that invented the telephones. And he had a lot of success. I mean, he had a lot of success. In today's terms, he'd be a multi-billionaire. And he was asked one time, what was the key to his success? We had to bring it down to one thing. What is the key to his success? And he said simply this: before anything else, preparation is the key to success. You see, he learned when he invented things, even though he would get excited and the people in his labs would get excited and all the scientists that worked on it would get excited, he knew that meant nothing if the general public and other people didn't get excited about it as well. He learned from his earlier years in inventing many other things, which he did, okay, that if you just invented something and walked out and said, hey, I invented this, everybody go, huh, that's neat, how am I going to use it? So what he would do is, once he invented something and he saw the importance of it, like the telephone, he knew exactly what he had invented and how important it was going to be. He staged for the press an elaborate display so they could see how it worked physically, and he was able to explain the benefits and the features and how it was going to change America and how it was going to change the world and how it was going to connect the world, make the world a smaller place. And he got people excited about it because he prepared, after he made the invention, he prepared to make that presentation so he could ultimately sell it and become the billionaire that he eventually did in today's terms. So again, to him, before anything else, preparation is key. So again, if you're nervous about a presentation, if you're nervous about something that's coming up and you're worrying about it, then prepare. Role play. Go through the presentation over and over and over again. And I know I've said this many times, you'll hear me say it many more times in the future, but even here at Pro Talk, one of my companies here, all the times I'm involved in helping other salespeople around here making presentations and getting involved and all that stuff. And one of the things that I insist they do, they have to do this. They have to give me time before I get on the phone, if it's possible, and many times it is. You have to tell me who we're talking to, who they are, what some of their likes and dislikes are, so we can build some rapport, what it is they're looking for, what is it they're looking for our product to do for them. And then once we map all of that out, we then sit there and we will role play what we're going to say. Now sometimes these presentations are hour and a half long, so we don't have time to do the whole thing, but we will at least role play and talk about and discuss, prepare for what it is we need to communicate to this customer. And I've found that by doing so, our sales, they go through the roof because there's no surprises. We prepare for ourselves for anything that may happen in that presentation. It eliminates the fear, eliminates the worry. We get more sales. Now I've got one more tip here, which is number 5, but before I get to that, I got to talk to you about my sponsor, which is Lightspeed VT, and you probably know that by now because many of you, thousands of you, are listening to this and watching it. It's Lightspeed VT, but let me tell you, just in case you don't remember. Lightspeed VT is over in the great state of Nevada and Las Vegas. Great city there, too. If you've never been there, got to go. It's everything you think it's going to be, plus more. But one thing about Vegas, I will tell you, what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. Take that from me. You want to call these guys, though. Lightspeed VT, they have a training platform, all right? And you say, well, why do I need a training platform for? Because if you're a business owner or a manager and you've accumulated all this training over the years, whether you've developed it yourself or you bought it from somebody else, they're going to show you a platform, okay, that you can download all this training onto, whether it's audio or video or both. You download it into there, and then once it's downloaded in there, it's just not a storage thing, okay, for it to all be in one place, okay, and it's going to have all your logos and stuff on it, so it really looks like it's you and your business, right? But they're going to show you how to divide it up into 5 and 10 minute segments for your people to easily watch from any device that has Wi-Fi, so they can watch it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for anywhere in the world. And here's the icing on the cake. They're going to show you how to create testing, so when your employees watch the video and then test on it, you know whether or not they really understood what they just watched and listened to, because many times you have them watch it. What's everybody say when you have them watch your training? Did you like it? Yes. Did you learn from it? Yes. Do you get it? Yes. And then they go out and they fail. So they didn't get it, right? Well, now, through this testing, you'll know. But you say, we don't have our own training. What do we do? Call Lightspeed anyway. All right, here's why. They have access to all the major trainers in the world. Yeah, I said the world. They have niche trainers for different industries, so industry specific, and they have all the other big speakers, you name them, they're on there, because that's for everybody. My training's on there, right? And if you call them, it's 702-369-4260. Again, 702-369-4260, and tell them the Jeff Cowan told you to call. They'll give you a big discount. You tell them, say, look, the Jeff Cowan told me you're going to give me a big discount and I want to see it. And they'll show it to you, and you're going to love this. Now, if you're an individual and you've got a training library and you want a platform, they'll help you up with an individual one. If you want to look for training, they'll show you where to get it from. As a matter of fact, they got a new product coming out called Skill Shop. It's going to be the iTunes of training, where you can go there and see thousands of trainers. It's killer stuff. Lightspeed VT, 702-369-4260. So, back to this. Again, we talked about 4 things to stop worrying and sell, because if you're worrying, so many salespeople worry. I used to worry and I don't anymore. You know, and the reason I don't, and the reason you shouldn't, if you do, here's how you stop it. Number 1, you exchange worry time for training time, because if you're training, you don't have time to worry. Number 2, you get hurt if you lose a sale. So replace that hurt, and you can start healing by start training, because if you're training, you don't have time to hurt. Number 3, instead of feeling grief for a lost sale, exchange grief for reading. Instead of sitting around grieving and feeling sorry for yourself, read something, whether it's a motivational book, leadership, selling, or a biography, or an entertainment book, or something like that. Read. Get your mind off the subject, so we'll take it away. And then number 4, we talked about is the fear of making a presentation. Fear of losing the sale causes worry. What happens if I go in here and I make a mistake? Well, if you're spending time preparing for the presentation, you won't have time to worry. And the more you prepare, the more strength you get, the more confidence you get, the better you deliver your presentation, because you're prepared and you get more sales. It's really that simple. It really is. You know, stop the worry, okay? Again, reminding you what I said earlier, Alexander Graham Bell said it best, you know, extremely successful. He was the Steve Jobs of his time, said before anything else, preparation is key. Number 5, sales is a very forgiving career. There's nothing to worry about. You're going to have many, many successes if you study and you prepare and you train. You'll have many, many, many successes. But along with that, no matter how good you are, I don't care what everybody else is saying on their podcast, no matter how good you are, you will fail from time to time. Even today, at this stage of my career, I still have failures from time to time, but I've made those very minimum because I train and I prepare. Now, number 5, again, what I'm saying is that sales is a forgiving career, because it will let you learn from failure and win the very next sale. And when you win sales, you eliminate worry. Now, what do I mean? Here's what I mean. I've talked about this before. I'm going to talk about it again. You know, whenever I make a presentation, I've got other people that work with me in the room, because many times that's what's going on. We've got a salesperson, a sales manager, general sales manager, maybe my assistant, maybe who knows who's in the room. There's usually 2 or 3 of us. After we make the presentation, whether we get the sale or we lose the sale, but especially when we lose the sale, before anyone's allowed to leave the room, we critique what we did wrong. We critique what we did right. Why? Because we may have another 2 or 3 presentations we've got to make in the next 2 or 3 hours. We may have another 2 or 3 presentations we've got to make in the next several days. So instead of worrying about it, we don't allow ourselves time to worry about it. We critique it because we know sales is forgiving, and a missed sale will teach us what we did wrong. We can correct those, and in the next presentation, since we corrected it, we prepared, we didn't grieve, we didn't hurt, we didn't worry. Instead, we prepared, and we got the sale. Number 5, again, sales is a very forgiving career. It's one of the few careers that you can make a mistake in 1 minute and literally minutes later correct it because it taught you what you did wrong and allow you to be successful. That's where I want you to be. Now, one final thought here. Let's say you're a manager and you notice that you've got a sales team that worries, okay? And they spend time grieving. They spend too much time talking about sales they've lost or business or whatever. Training can eliminate that. All right, training gets people excited. Now, what I mean, let's say you're a manager, and you start training. Training is like a toy, okay? And what I mean, it's like a toy. When you get a new toy, whether it's an app, a phone, a game, or whatever it is, and you get excited about it because it's fun, what do you want to do? You want to share it with everybody, right? You want everybody to enjoy it and get the same pleasure from it that you do. Well, guess what? Training's the same way. If you have a staff that's negative, they grieve, they hurt, they talk too much about the downside of it, train them, because here's what happens. You teach them a technique, and the next time they're in a presentation and they use the technique you taught them and it works, what do they want to do? They want to share it with everybody else. They get excited about it. They come back and they want more techniques. They want more processes. They want more training. So training will eliminate worry with your team, because like a brand new toy, when they learn from it and succeed from it, they want to share it with everybody else, and it just feeds. So exchange your worry and your team's worry for ultimate success by not allowing them time to hurt, grieve, worry. Instead, get them reading, get them training, get them successful. The worry will go away and will be replaced with ultimate success. The payoff for not training is failure and worry. Neither are fun. So final note. The key to exchanging worry for success, again, is training. Payoff for training, preparing, and being ready for anything is more sales, more commission, a better life, and getting the life that you want. So exchange worry for success by training yourself, by training your team for success. Hey, my name's Jeff Cowan, and I've reached my time limit today here. And I hope you've enjoyed the message, because it's a great message. Listen to it once, listen to it twice, go back and listen to number 1, and then listen to number 2 here. Spend 30 minutes, be the best 30, 35 minutes you spent today. I promise you with that. So with that, come back and see me next Tuesday with Success in Professional Sales and Success in Life. Tell your friends about it. Let's get people excited about this. Come and see me at thejeffcowan.com. Look at my products, come to my workshops, and if nothing else, make it a great day, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a great day. So again, this is the Jeff Cowan signing off. Love you guys. See you next week. Take care.